Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe for more content. You will need a sketchbook or some paper, a rubber, a pencil, makeup brush, and some fine liner pens. These will all be listed in the description below. Starting off in my sketchbook, I'm using a mechanical pencil. I'm drawing out an upside down semicircle. And closing that off at the bottom. And on the sides, I'm drawing a line going out. And closing that off with a slight bend to the line at the bottom. I'm going to do the same here again, adding that semicircle and drawing the lines going out. And adding that curved line to close it off. On this side, I'm going to draw a circle and a smaller one inside. These are where I'm going to be placing my flowers, and I'm joining this all together with a stem. I'm just drawing out some petals now, and to the sides I'm adding some additional petals. When I'm adding these additional petals in between, I'm just joining them towards the bud. This makes it look more natural. Drawing out the exact same flower and adding some additional petals to the tops on the sides. And again, filling out any gaps in between, adding some more petals and joining them towards the buds. For the open daisy, I'm going to draw some petals. I always start off with the petals that are more forward. And where there are gaps, I will fill in more petals to look like they're behind the other petals. For the leaves, I'm drawing these random lines. When I go over this with my fine liners, I'll be going around the lines, so these are going to be the guides for the leaves. Using a 04 fine liner, I'm going to add some tiny circles for the bud of the flower. And just going over all these lines I've made with my pencil. You can adjust this as you go along if you're not happy with your flowers. Using an 02 fine liner for the open daisy, as it's smaller I want it to have more detail. Going back to the 04 fine liner to draw out the rest of the stem and the leaves, so going around the pencil markings and leaving that gap. Rubbing out any markings before I add the details onto this illustration. Adding some simple line shading to the tops and the bottoms of the petals, just to give it some depth, and touching up any bits to this drawing. For our next flower, I'm going to draw larger flowers, so placing circles randomly around the page. I'm adding a stem to join all the flowers together. For the top flower, I've added a smaller circle at the top, as I want this flower to be more closed. And for the rest, I'm adding a smaller circle in the centre, as I want them to be more open. Using the guide for the circles, I'm going to draw out the petals inside. And the open ones, I've just added 5 petals. And keeping it very simple. Going over all this with a fine liner pen and adding any additional markings to the petals. For the buds, I've just added some swirly markings inside and keeping that bit a bit messy. On some of the petals, I've added an additional line to make it look like the petal is flicking upwards. This can make the flowers look more natural. I've also added some simple leaves and just joining them all together with the stem. Rubbing out any lines and adding some more line shading to the flowers and the leaves. For the final flowers, I'm going to draw a curved line going down, adding some circles as a guide for my cluster of flowers. I'm putting more of the circles towards the bottom. I also like to add some circles behind some of the other circles. When they're all bunched up, this can be a really nice look for it to give it more layers. And spreading them out towards the top of the stem. Adding some smaller circles inside these circles for reference for the buds. On each of the open flowers, I'm going to draw out 5 petal shapes, keeping them really simple and using that circle as a guide. As I go more towards the top of the stem, I'm adding smaller flowers. And using an O2 fine liner, I'm drawing over these flowers. I've also added some leaves at the bottom and placing one of them slightly behind the cluster of flowers, adding any additional detail to the illustration with line shading and a few dots just to give it some extra detail. And here are the final floral illustrations. Be sure to check out my Instagram for more inspiration. Thanks for watching.